Hi, I'm Lars from Leader Insider, and in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to talk about the golden nuggets from the book 12 Rules of Life from John Peterson. Without needing to go through the whole book, you'll get the best and most valuable information out of these books in this show. So don't forget, at the end, I'm going to share with you a secret link where you're able to download a free PDF from every single insight I personally got from this book. You have to be watching the video premiere in order to get this. So if you're 1 week after this video came out, it already replaced by the next book. So, and I promise you it will be worth your time. I know there are many different distractions we're having. So like our cell phone that constantly wants our attention. And basically if you're reading a great book, you're putting your phone away. And this is also made up to put your phone away. So close it down, throw it away ideally, and give me your complete attention. But not when you're watching on your phone. I got you there. For those who already throw away their phone, you can take it back. So in this show, I'm going to present you these golden nuggets in the smallest chunks as possible, because some of them don't even make really sense if we are just reading them on this page. You're probably wondering why I'm qualified talking about such topics, and it's very simple. First of all, every book I read I mark things, and every marker gets an asterisk. It's like I'm going through every book for 4 times. First reading the whole bunch, then only reading the marked, and then only reading the asterisk things. So basically, everything that got 3 asterisks is personally for me the most valuable information from this book. And the other fact is, I recently read that only 10% of people who buy such a book to improve their life actually goes beyond the first chapter. So I want to give you a shortcut that you actually will use this knowledge and know it for once. Third, the 80-20 principles, like I told you before, it's most 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 times 20% of the book will give you 80% of the context, and this is what I'm going to share in these videos to save you the time actually reading through this whole book. And if you want, you can probably do it. Last but not least, I personally have the belief that knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Only execution of knowledge will make it into real power. So let's get started right into this book. 12 Rules for Life from John Peterson. We didn't always agree on the answers, thank God, but we almost always agreed on the questions. So this is basically an interesting introduction into John Peterson's work. Most of the time, I personally notice that questions are powerful. If I'm in the exact same situation, like my wife comes too late for dinner we're having, and I ask myself 2 questions that will, those 2 questions will really determine how I behave once she arrives. When I ask myself, "Wow, how could she do this? I'm waiting for like so much, and it's always happening. Why is she always late?" Or I ask myself the question, hmm, what happened to her? Oh, did she came in an accident? Oh, maybe I should call her. And then she comes right through the door and you're really pleased and happy to see her that nothing happened. So questions and answers are two different things because we all have different experiences and come most likely by the same questions to different answers. About the most inappropriate thing an adult can do is give advice to young person about how to live. So this is basically what my father really tries to do. He gives me advice, hey, you should do this or that, and most likely what I'm doing is the complete opposite because no one tells me how to live life. We are rule generators. If you really think about it, we are always creating rules because rules are a shortcut that will provide us with a tremendous value. And so we are we, we are primed to create rules. For example, if you hit yourself on the arm and for the third or fourth times you notice pain, and then you link up, okay, hitting my arm means pain, so don't hit your arm, Dumbo. But if we wouldn't be able to generate those rules so quickly, we would still hit our arm and think, why wouldn't he change? Rules are there to simplify these processes that I don't need to go through. Oh yeah, hitting means pain. Hitting means pain, that I don't sit there and hit myself all the time. Be grateful in spite of your suffering. Really interesting because John Peterson has the note that life is suffering, so why should I live at all? Why are there so many happy people? This is the really important question, not why is there so much suffering? Order is the white masculine serpent, chaos is black, feminine counterpart. The black dot in the white and the white in the black indicate the possibility of transformation. So this is basically the yin and yang symbol explained in his way, and I simply would say that this is a really interesting topic we can think about because in every order there's disorder, and every good there's bad. So we need to think, okay, what do I want to do with this? And I can never be completely free of order or disorder. This is an interesting fact of life. To those who have everything, more will be given. From those who have nothing, everything will be taken. It's actually a saying from the Bible, but it's most accurate because if I have more of money, it's easier to generate money. Simple. If I'm healthy, if I'm fit, if I'm strong, it's easier for me to be stronger. But why is this? It's because we have momentum. Momentum carries with it power, and inertia binds you to stagnation. So basically, if I'm training for a whole month and stop it for just a week, starting once again is really freaking hard. So the important thing we need to consider is never break your momentum. This is so simple. Don't break the chain, but it's really freaking hard, especially if you're having some tough times. And all of us do. So, but these are the times where 99% of the muscle growth comes. When you don't want to do it, but you do. The last repetition, the one you don't want to do, is where most of the muscle growth comes from. The leaf, when perceived, might blind the observer to the tree. The tree can blind him to the forest, and the things that are most real cannot be seen at all. Another interesting metaphor John is telling here. So from another perspective, I would say just leave the stories behind. The stories will blind you for the tree, and maybe the tree is also just a story that we are telling ourselves, and this will blind us to the forest. So in Germany we have a saying, den Wald vor lauter Bäumen nicht sehen. Don't see the forest because there are so many trees around you. So what this basically means is that you're so into a story, into a situation that you don't cannot see clearly one important thing, and this is great when you're starting to practice meditation, to step out of the story to really get a clear picture, like you're on a balcony and can see it from the top, everything that goes on, and see the missing link your problem is having. It's making sense? Dominance hierarchies are older than trees. Dominance hierarchy is one of the things I personally got to know Jordan Peterson. He's talking about all these different variations of dominance hierarchies. And I think the most important distinction he gave in one of his videos was that it's not the value of man is not determined by how high up he is in the dominance hierarchies, because dominance hierarchies are likely to change and there are several thousand of them. But it's actually the climbing speed in which he can get on the peak of new dominance hierarchies. So how to get on the peak, on the top, learning, but not only learning, executing. And to diminish your learning time to really get a new skill on a really high level to be on the top, this is one really crucial thing we all need to practice. So how do I learn? How do I get information? Do I need to read it? Do I need to hear? Do I need to see it? How do I perceive information the best, or do I need to write it down? These are great questions we should ask yourself. A positive feedback loop requires an input, detector, and amplifier, and some sort of output. So if we really want to get a new habit, so for example, my new habit would be walking, running every day. And an input detector would be, when does the habit start? Does it start once I wake up, or once I clean my teeth, or does it even start later, once I ate my breakfast and then I go running? An input detector, a habit needs something where it starts. So waking up early in the morning might be a great trigger because we all do this. And then your morning ritual can start. An amplifier. So consistency is really key to create habits. Amplify those positive emotions the habit is creating, and it will stick and last forever. And some sort of output. Yeah, if we do this and we are not receiving anything from value for ourselves, we won't even stick to running. If I ran and my body does not change, and most likely it won't, but it will change my emotional state because I'm breathing different, I'm walking, I'm running, my blood is circulating through my veins. This is really where I can develop. If I notice these things, this is really important. You need to amplify your awareness to notice these great things that happens to your body if you're starting a new habit like running. Our anxiety systems are very practical. They assume that anything you run away from is dangerous. The proof is, of course, the fact you ran away. So It's as simple as it is. If you ever ran away from one situation, your your brain will notice, okay, this is really dangerous. So if you ran away from actually, if you're attracted to a woman and you say, oh no, I can't do this, your brain will mark woman as potential danger. So you're scared and you won't even talk to one. The fact that you ran away is enough for your nervous system. So this is basically why I really like neurolinguistic programming, NLP, because it's takes the lever exactly on these anxiety systems in these reptilian parts of your brain and leverage those to how you want them to be, to act on FF, act in consequence, and don't even need to think about it. If you can bite, you generally don't have to. So it's like the one who's ready to fight doesn't need to fight because he's not scared and he's a potential threat for you. And if you're a potential threat and you don't want to be hurt, you're much more likely to get away. But if you're standing weak, it's harder because the threat sees no counter threat. So he doesn't feel threatened at all. Naive, harmless people usually guide their perceptions and actions with a few simple axioms. People are basically good. No one really wants to hurt anyone else. The threat and certainty, the use of force, of physical or otherwise, is wrong. So if you really want to be, if you really want to destroy a relationship, for example, intimate relationship, the only thing we need to do is to apply the same rules from a business relationship to an intimate relationship. Business, it should be a win-win. You give me something and I give you something. In a personal relationship, this won't really work out for the long term. In a personal relationship, shouldn't it be greater if your partner gives you things the way you want for nothing in return, and you give your partner things they want in their way for nothing in return? It's a constantly giving. In a business relationship, most people have the rules, hey, it's a constantly receiving. So if you're playing both relationships the same way, it might be really hard. There is very little difference between the capacity of mayhem and destruction, integrated and strength of character. This is one of the most difficult lessons of life. This is one really crucial thing John Peterson always talks about. Dangerous men don't use their threatening abilities because they know, hey, I'm capable of doing it, but I won't, and this makes them strong. Weak men, for example, use this capacity of mayhem, used to destruct, to rape women, or to do other bullshit stuff because they need to prove their ego. Emotion is partly bodily expressed and can be amplified or damped by that expression. So this is something I don't really agree on, because I think that emotion is most likely bodily expressed, and other perception also play a role, but most likely most of our emotions is because how we use our body. Let's use a simple test to really prove what I'm saying. Just sit up there, put your breast really wide out, and smile if you want to. If you don't take this test, it won't work. And now, without changing your body, try to get depressed. Really hard, isn't it? It's most of us couldn't even conceive it because our body guides how we feel. Clearly, how what we focus on, if we focus on really bullshit, we feel better. But what happens if I'm focusing on bullshit? My shoulders drop, or my mouth goes down, and so your body gives your brain biochemical signals to feel a certain way. And because of this, I personally believe, hey, first, if you really want to change your emotions, change first your body. And because of this, running is such a great exercise because it changes your biochemistry for the whole day. In fact, on average, you care more. People are better at feeling and probably administering perception medication to their pets than to themselves. So this is one of the most crucial things I read here, but the most crucial part, the most devastating part for myself was that I believe that it's actually true. We care so much for ourselves, because if everyone would know who we really are, would know every shortfall, every bad thing we ever did in our life, how could they probably like or love me? So caring for another person or another living being is much easier because you think, hey, they are much more generous, much better than you are. So caring for them is easier. Order and chaos are not understood first, objectively, and then personified. So this is really, this is something I really also need some context about, because reading it just here doesn't make any sense to me. From a Darwinian perspective, nature is what selects. So women select men. So women are nature, Mother Nature. This is what nature is. Chaos, the unknown, is symbolically associated with the feminine. As the story insists, the original parents were naked but not ashamed. Such phrasing implies that it's perfectly natural and normal for people to be ashamed of their nakedness. Otherwise, nothing would have to be said about this absence. So a really interesting thing, because first of all, chaos is the unknown, and women, yeah, women are chaos. Every man knows this. One of the most important thing I personally noticed is that for my own way, it's really important to be single for most of the time in the last several years I had, because where I had a woman in my life, it was like chaos everywhere and I couldn't even handle my own. But for women, it's most likely the other way around. It's much better for them to have a man that brings order into her life. And because of this, women are most likely attracted to older men, because they have their chaos under control, so they can care for her chaos. And yeah, it's totally fine to be ashamed. This is what insists in the Bible. Questions for parents. Do you want to make your children safe or strong? It's like the helicopter parents out there that are constantly looking, oh, nothing bad should ever happen. Oh, they should never be hurt. But if they never be hurt, how could then they become stronger and better in life? Because you need to fail in order to grow. So one of the most, I would say, frustrating things I had in my own life was I was playing soccer, football, so soccer, so everyone understands what I mean. And we were like rocking because we were out there and training like 3 or 4 times a week. So we won every competition we had with our enemies. But then everyone got a medal, everyone got a poker. Why should I even try to be better if everyone gets rewarded, I thought. And then I asked some friends that were in a better team, because I'm always making friends everywhere. And they told me, hey, we really, we feel really as if we didn't even deserve this medal. And I was like, yeah, I feel not great about winning because everyone just won, but isn't it the key to reward effort, to reward the effort we put in? And because we put in more effort than you guys, we won. Isn't this what we should reward? Effort and not actually winning? But winning is the facts of putting the most effort in. Now, no clear-seeing, conscious woman is going to tolerate unawakened men. If you're a woman and you really noticed, hey, we need to wake up as human species, as men and women. We cannot even tolerate someone who is just blindly walking by. And this is really interesting, because women are what selects. And if we men become conscious because of women, and women are awoken, they won't even consider us men. So it's in continuous fight between the not the races, between the genders, who awakes the most. Little has changed. Women have been making men self-conscious since the beginning of time. How prophetic and how accurate. The first woman made the first man self-conscious and resentful. Then the first man blamed the woman. And then the first man blamed God. It's a saying in the Bible. Who ate the apple? Adam did. But it was because of Eve? No. It was because of God? No. It was because of you, foolish bastard. Because you decided to eat it. No one ever forced you to do it. So why blame anybody else? Blame will never get you where you want to be. Blame is always looking for others. Blame is a manipulation tool. If you're actually managing other people and you blame them on shortfalls, they might be doing better in the short term, but blaming someone never helps on the long run. The programmability of this massive brain means that he must be trained until he's 18 or 30 before being pushed out of the nest. So it's really interesting. My grandmother told me, hey, she was 14 and then she needed to have a complete job and care for herself. My generation is most likely up until 30, 35, that are still living at home. And it's totally normal. So we need to program our mind. And what programs our mind today? Social media, the internet, and how many great stuff is out there? Not so many. And if you really want to fail in life, do one thing. Read what failures read. If you really want to be successful in life, consume or read what really successful people consume. Do it unto others as you would have them do unto you, or loving your neighbors as yourself. So this is a really guiding principle for my life. If I talk bullshit about someone else who's not in the room, why wouldn't anybody hesitate to talk bullshit about me if I'm not in the room? Do you want to be talking bullshit about you? I don't think so. But do you do it on your own? We can make order from chaos and vice versa in our way with our words. So we may not exactly be God, but we're not exactly nothing either. So if we really can create with words and we can make chaos or order and create something, anything of value that wasn't there before, we are God in a nutshell. We are human. He whose life has a why can be almost anyhow. Most favorite quote from Nietzsche of everyone. People create their worlds with the tools they have directly at hand. 40 tools which produce 40 results. So this is really interesting. I always ask myself, once I started here in business, why does not everyone uses these great tools that are provided here by these and these guys? And then I, I finally noticed, because they don't have them at hand, because they have other tools at hand that might work, but not even the sliders so good as these other tools. So your job as a leader is to give people the greatest tools directly at hand so they use them. Success, that's the mystery. Virtue, that's what's inexplicable. To fail, you merely have to cultivate a few bad habits. This is what I would say is the principle of lag time. If you're driving a car and you're heading right to a wall and you want to turn, you can't turn instantly into another direction. You have still momentum to the wall. And some slight adjustments can turn your whole around. But if you just can't make these adjustments because of habits, you start right heading into the wall. So if you're starting to change, you're starting to accumulate new habits, just notice that you're in lag time and it takes time to actually drive the momentum elsewhere. If you surround yourself with people who support your upward aim, they will not tolerate your cynicism and destructiveness. It's like my most influential quote I heard from Tony Robbins. Your life reflects the direct expectations from your peers. So whatever our peers think about us, because we don't want to lose faith before them, we tend to manifest. So if we have peers that are better than us, and we always can find people that are better than us or worse off than we are, then we have no drive to actually grow. And progress is what makes us really happy and fulfilled. People who are not aiming up will do the opposite. You might object, I should be winning at everything. But winning at everything might only mean that you're not doing anything new or difficult. You might be winning, but you're not growing. And growing might be the most important form of winning. So really consider this. It's like live with one foot in your comfort zone and one foot out there. So you have the comfort of being, okay, I know this stuff, but every day I go in the unknown to really fail. But failing means actually winning because you've got an education, and then you can become closer to your full potential. You are, for example, neither your own master nor your own slave. You cannot easily tell yourself what to do and compel your own obedience. It's really interesting because have you ever thought with yourself, do this, do this, do this, but you just couldn't take your fucking butt up and follow through. Just it just did not work, but you pushed and pushed and pushed, and at the end you didn't do it. I personally did. So I wanted to go to the gym, but I had no momentum at all, and I just lying down and yeah, it was really hard. But you cannot you cannot enslave yourself. You need to align first. Hey, what is it that you really want? And the you is you yourself. Maybe probably I want to feel great right now, or to relax a bit. How long would it take to relax in this situation for myself? Maybe about 20 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes we are going to relax, but then heading straight to the gym. Does this sound great? Maybe. Well, why maybe? I still want to eat. So after gym, we're going to have a really great meal. This sounds great. So how can you motivate yourself? This is the real question we need to ask ourselves. But motivation never lasts. This is another distinction we need to make. Motivation means I'm doing it, but I don't really want to do it. I would say we want to create drive in us. I get to love those things I once hated. And because I love them, it's as easy as it can be. Of course, it's easier in the moment to stay silent and avoid conflict, but in the long term, it's deadly. It's like working every day. Every coworker is like silent, and you're like, I can stay silent too. It will work out. It will please my boss, my chef, but it's not the right thing to do. So speak your truth. As the word sin means to miss the mark. We cannot navigate without something to aim at. While we are in this world, we must always navigate. So it's like a famous saying in the Bible: without a vision, people perish. If you don't have a goal in life, if you're stagnating, we start to dying slowly. But where you start might not be as important as the direction you are heading. Perhaps happiness is always to be found in the journey uphill, and not in the fleeting sense of satisfaction awaiting at the next peak. Like we discussed before this side, if we really want to be happy in life, we have to find a way to constantly grow. And this is the great news, but also there's great and bad news. Your problems will never stop. These are the bad news. But the great news is your problems will never stop, because problems are a sign of life, and problems cause you to grow. So if you're telling me you have no problems, you're most likely like the people that have really no problems at all. They lie 6 foot under. That little voice, that's the voice of someone once burned and twice shy. So you could say very carefully, really, I might not do it very well, and might not be great company, but I will do something nice for you, I promise. It's really that it matters, what your intentions are. Your intention matters, but never give up on your great intentions, or else you will fall into the trap of stagnation, and then you will begin the doom loop. And what you aim at determines what you see, what's worth repeating. What you aim at determines what you see. It's like the reticular activating system. Let's take a quick test to really get it into your nervous system. Just please look around the room and notice everything that's brown. Brown, 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 brown. And now close your eyes, please. Can you tell me anything that was green? Come on, it's hard because you can open your eyes because we're looking at brown and and now watch around the room and look for everything that's green. Is it that you now see much more than green because this is what you aim at? This is your goal you're aiming at, and now you're seeing it? And could it be that you saw beige stuff and called it brown just to feel more successful? That is partly because vision is expensive, psychologically expensive, neurologically expensive. So to create this vision where to aim at is really one of the hardest things we could do. And as leaders, we need to be psychologically and physiologically really strong to create this vision and communicate it as often as we have to. That's how you deal with the overwhelming complexity of the world. You ignore it while you concentrate minutely on your private concerns. Like I told you, you ignored everything that was another color because it otherwise would be too much to perceive at once. So our brain is a distorting, deleting, and generalizing system. And what you focus on is not going to be distorted or generalized. This is what you will come up to, what you will see. And if you have a goal, only because of this goal you see the challenges way off the head, way ahead of you, and then you could anticipate them. But not if you don't have a goal at all. You detect obstacles when they pop up in your path. Wait. This means in part that people are blinded by their desires. I will make a different plan. I will try to want whatever it is that would make my life better, whatever that might be, and I will start working on it now. This is this is the really crucial word we need to consider. I will start working on it now. Right now is a good time. Right now is the greatest time. Because later, like procrastination says, later is never going to happen. There's moment in a power. There's power in a moment. We only see what we aim at. The rest of the world, and that's most of it, is hidden. You cannot aim yourself at anything if you are completely undisciplined and untutored. If you don't have discipline in your life, if you don't follow through on your commitments, if you don't decide, you will not get where you aim at. Because on the way to success, you run out of gas, you run out of steam. So to be tutored doesn't mean to be disciplined and to do things the hard way. It's to generate a strong enough reason why to actually follow through. That's how you tutor yourself. Stack your whys. And the better means to aim at the improvement of being. If you find that the answer is no to any or all of the questions, then look elsewhere, aim lower, search until you find something that bothers you, that you could fix, that you will fix, and then fix it. That might be enough for the day. It's like the most famous quote from John Peterson: make your goddamn bed. I once talked to a good friend of mine and he was having a really hard time. And I'm like, hey, do you know this John Peterson guy? He was like, no. I'll give you its favorite quote for me that I really needed to do because it was really hard for me at first glance. But then it became as easy as it can be. Make your goddamn bed. Hey, making your bed means not, oh, it's really awesome because I don't lay down and it feels much better. This is also positive. But making your bed basically means to strengthen your muscle of committing, of deciding again and again and again to have a positive, rewarding experience every day because you're following through. And the real matter is every single day, consistently decide upon it, make a real decision. Do it now. Anything you could possibly now fix. And then the next day could await. And you get stronger. It doesn't get easier, you get stronger. If society is corrupt, but not the individual within it, then where did the corruption originate? Violence, after all, is no mystery. It's peace that is. People often get basic psychological questions backwards. Why do people take drugs? Not a mystery. It's why they don't take them at all the time. That's the mystery. If we as humans are always aiming for the greatest parts, we are seeing right now that that I went a bit overboard. Just let me. Mm, it's a really great book, and I need to do a two-parter because I'm only halfway through. Not even halfway through. So kids do this frequently. Scared parents think that a crying child is always sad or hurt. This is simply not true. Anger is one of the most common reasons for crying. Yeah, if you're angry, if you're if your kid is angry, and most parents notice this, and they still get the attention. We human beings need attention in order to survive. We need love. And if you don't get attention, if you're doing something right, we will do something wrong. So basically what this means is that you're educating your kid that if he's doing something bad, he will get rewarded. There's actually a study that has shown the failure to thrive syndrome, is it called. They feeded a baby, but they didn't even give it physical contact with another human being. In weeks, these babies died. This is the failure to thrive syndrome. We need, as human beings, physical love from another human being to actually survive. So if you give them this love for doing bad things, you educate them on worse stuff. So, okay. The special offer is, I really got overboard. I don't want to fill the 50 minutes. The special offer is this week's episode sites. You can download them down below or just give in the link flowfulfunnel.com/golden-nugget-show to download your free PDF file. Thanks.